Following the conclusion of the 13th Hunter Chairman election, both Jing Freaks and Pariston Hill separately submitted requests to resign from the Zodiacs. And given that nobody liked Pariston and almost nobody liked Jing, Chairman Cheadle accepted both of them. And there's two reasons as to why they resigned. The first was the death of Isaac Netero, who originally formed the Zodiacs, and the lack of Netero gave Pariston and Jing very little reason to hang around. But the second is that an opportunity arose to make both of their desires come true. In Pariston's case, he'd been secretly working for Beyond Netero this entire time. His tenure at the Hunter Association was all in preparation for this Dark Continent expedition, and as for Jing, well, he wanted in on the action. Because going to the Dark Continent is what he'd been working towards as well. This was Jing's ultimate desire, to travel and discover the world with maximum freedom. Which sounds very familiar. Almost like the exact same desire Beyond has. And so Beyond's words to his expedition team were, "I won't turn down anyone who joins." And so in chapter 342, Jing simply appeared in the secret base of Beyond Netero's expedition team and simply said, "Hey guys, let me in on this." But this immediately raises the question of why Jing left the Zodiacs, because the Hunter Association were also mounting an effort to go to the Dark Continent at this point as well. And the reason why is because Jing actually identifies quite strongly with Beyond Netero's desires and is very willing to give him that freedom of exploration. However, at the same time, Jing is extremely wary of Pariston, citing his goal as destruction disguised by perverted love. So Jing's purpose here is twofold. He wants to help Beyond and hinder Pariston. Because Beyond might be reckless, but Jing appreciates that, so is he. However, Pariston can be given no benefit of the doubt. His goal is undoubtedly sinister. And one thing we need to keep in mind is that even though he resigned, Pariston was the one who recovered the 5,000 Chimera Ant hybrid cocoons from East Gorteau. And as a result, he currently has a standing army of 5,000 Nen-using Chimera Ant soldiers at his direct disposal. And it's implied that if the Hunter Association didn't respond to Beyond in the correct way, then the plan was to send in those 5,000 ants and take over the Hunter Association by force. Remembering that there's only about 600 licensed hunters in the entire world, so they would be obliterated by a 5,000 Chimera Ant force. And in order to prevent all of that from happening, Jing has given Pariston a much more interesting game to play. One which Pariston has been craving for quite some time, as he even says, "So you're finally going to pay attention to me." But Jing and Pariston are very difficult opponents for one another. They're so similar yet so opposite, and so they tend to cancel each other out. And one of the key differences can be seen in the reason why Jing is a ruins hunter in the first place. It's because he remembers the elation and the friendship he felt when discovering his first ruin with his team. What he remembered most wasn't the ruins themselves. He remembered the team's smiles and the team's joy and the overall vibe. And Jing wants to continue to experience that feeling. Meanwhile, here's how Pariston feels about people in general. People normally feel happiness when they love and are loved in return. I feel happiness when people hate me, and I feel compelled to hurt the things that are dear to me. And Pariston isn't someone who can be beaten by sheer punch-fighty force, as noted by Jing. If you were only brute force, I'd pummel you and that would be it. That's not the case, which is the trouble. You'd be laughing inside even as I made you cough up blood and stepped on your head. I'd have to break your spirit instead. And so in his first effort to chip away at Pariston's spirit, Jing immediately usurped his role as second in command of the expedition. And he did this by offering to pay all of Beyond's team members double what Beyond was offering them, including Pariston, by the way. But as it turns out, Pariston wasn't getting paid. He was conducting this expedition for personal reasons, and double zero usually still ends up being zero. I should stipulate that Jing was offering to pay double on top of Beyond's fee, so effectively tripling everyone's income. And look, Jing can afford to do this because he's one of the wealthiest hunters on the planet, but let me be real here. I run a channel about Hunter x Hunter, a manga which has had 10 new chapters published in the last 2 years, so I'm not exactly swimming in the deepest of financial pools here. So I need to be very careful with my money and budget down to the dollar. And thankfully today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your, or in my case, my money better. In my case, Rocket Money can analyze your spending habits and create you a custom budget, and then very helpfully monitor your spending and sending helpful alerts if you've exceeded things. But also more things. And this is by far my favorite feature of the app, which is that it helps me cancel unwanted subscriptions. You know, those services that you sign up for on a whim and then forget about for the rest of your life, whilst they promptly charge a monthly fee despite the no value they provide to you. Rocket Money can identify these recurring charges and cancel subscriptions with a tap, like this. Tap. And you know, it's almost frustratingly easy because it reminds me of every time I've had to go through bank statements and figure out what's coming from where and why things aren't labeled properly and why I haven't gotten my life together. But never again will I live that way. And Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when they use all the features, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So to save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Simply go to rocketmoney.com/NewWorldReview or click the link in the description to get started for free. You could also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/NewWorldReview to get started for free. And thank you so much to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video, as well as sorting my life out, because it's partners like them that allow us to bring you the best fictional hunter content possible as often as possible. So definitely check them out, but for now it's back to you, me. And now what followed here can be quite confusing, because Jing's terms were that he would become the second in command, but without, the command aspect. He even says that everyone can keep following Pariston's command, which can make this whole endeavor feel quite pointless. To some, it comes off as quite childish, like Jing was going to so much effort just to snipe Pariston's title, and that might be part of it, but this act accomplished something very important, which was earning the trust of Beyond's team, because Jing was ready to honor this deal, even if they decided not to listen to him and carry on working under Pariston. So this very rapidly established that Jing was a trustworthy person. Anything he says should be taken seriously, and any promise he makes will be fulfilled. And as a result of this, that one unnamed expedition team member, who I refer to as the Sanji we have at home, was then able to spend that money to pay off the debt of a hospital taking care of his sister, which was the sole reason for accepting this job in the first place. So not only did Jing build trust, but he also generated gratitude. His gambit paid off with a legitimate emotional bond being formed, which you can see when not Sanji declares, "You're my number 2. I'll go wherever you go." So Jing didn't just make an ally here. What he has now is a lifetime vassal, someone who will follow Jing to the ends of the earth, which is literally where we're going. So that's good. And that's something that seriously undermines Pariston's authority, because he's not a man capable of forming those connections. In fact, as we've explored, it gives him personal pleasure to do the exact reverse and deliberately cultivate hatred towards him. So while what Jing did here does seem absolutely ridiculous, it was the first step in winning over the hearts of the expedition team. And just a quick note on that, the second in command position isn't just a title, it's a very important idea to Yoshihiro Togashi. There's even a discussion in his previous manga, Yu Yu Hakusho, where Yomi is speaking to Kurama and stating, "The second in command is the key to any organization." That's what you always said. So here, Togashi is positioning this as a struggle to become that key, one which Jing has very aggressively progressed towards. But Jing's generosity didn't end there. He then shared something even more valuable than money. To anyone who wanted to listen, Jing then drew a map of the Dark Continent and gave the team members all of the knowledge he'd gathered over the years, including the 5 calamities, the miracle substances, notable landmarks, details on how the V5 had been covering all of this up, as well as stories about Isaac Netero's previous voyages, and most importantly, the identity of the author of Journey to the New World, Don Freaks, who is Jing Freaks' assumed ancestor. And the key thing about this is that Jing actually gave the team knowledge that Beyond Netero had sort of strategically withheld. Because Beyond, he's a very optimistic man, he's a true explorer, he doesn't linger on all of the deathly dangers. So Jing taking the time to thoroughly explain each and every detail made him out to be a significantly more honest leader than Beyond and Pariston. And from that point, over the course of the next month, Jing progressively chipped more and more into the team. One example being bonding with Curly over their shared interest in archaeology, and they even started having these adorable ancient language contests together. Or Jing demonstrating his world-class pit play to Masha and gaining his utmost respect as a Nen user. All of which started to make Pariston crack, just a little bit. But it's the first time that we've seen Pariston even mildly bothered by anything. This is annoying. We do think alike. Is that why I don't like him? So annoying. I might grow to hate someone for the first time in my life. I'm looking forward to this. I want to see what I want to do to someone I hate, which adds another layer to this battle, because it looks like Jing is winning, overwhelmingly, I might say. At this stage, he has equal, if not more, loyalty from Beyond's team than Pariston does. But this is still playing into Pariston's desires. He's annoyed, he's very annoyed, but excited, very excited, because Pariston is a hate virgin who is extremely keen to explore his emotionality for the very first time. But it's not all mind games, because we also have some pretty amazing Nen use from Jing as well. Upon his intrusion, one of Beyond's expedition team members named Usamen made a hostile move towards Jing, and Jing apparently responded very brutally by beating the ever-loving crap crap out of him. However, this did not actually happen, because we then cut back to Jing not having punched Usamen at all. And there is definitely some sort of Nen shenaniganry happening here. It's almost like a more tangible projection of Ren. Ren being the basic principle of projecting hostile aura, which results in an unprepared opponent feeling an intense sense of dread and danger. But in this case, it's as if Jing is able to project that aura so precisely that he's able to express exactly how he plans on destroying this man if he doesn't back off. Another explanation could be that he has an emissive ability to put a vision of the future into people's minds. Or he actually did it. He actually beat the crap out of this guy and then reversed time back to the point of not having done it. Or it might not be Jing's ability at all. The future sight could belong to Usamen, but I don't know, I doubt it. Just because Jing's actions here seem so intentional. Furthermore, Jing also made a very interesting call when he was assessing Beyond Netero's team, and he made the immediate assumption that Marion was second in command because she was the one who he was sensing the most powerful aura emanating from. And it's not entirely clear what Marion is. Obviously, her name is an allusion to a marionette puppet, and everything about her personality, or lack thereof, indicates that she is a puppet being manipulated, but the fact that she's capable of demonstrating independent use of Nen would indicate that she might just be a girl who chooses to act and dress like a puppet, a very powersome puppet. Whatever it may be, she has the Jing tick of approval, so she's probably insanely powerful. But later on, after failing the Hunter exam, several more of Beyond's team returned to the hideout, led by the mercenary Muhe, who did not take kindly to Jing's presence, not kindly at all, and moved to eliminate him, which gave Jing the opportunity to perform another ability, which was a more extreme version of Leoria's remote punch, which was used on him during the chairman election. And after seeing this, Pariston asked, Jing, mate, is your ability to copy the ability of others? Because if so, cool. But in Jing's words, he can generally imitate any punching ability that he's been hit with. He is just that much of a Nen genius, and Jing says, bruh, it's just talent. You can't do that, skill issue. And I do believe him, because this event turned out to be a clever ruse on the part of Pariston, who gave Muhe the order to put Jing in this situation where he was forced to reveal a Nen ability. So instead, Jing served Pariston a plate of leftovers from the previous arc, and said that if Pariston wants to see his power so badly, then he'll need to attack him himself next time. To add to this flawless victory, Jing then proceeds to win all of the mercenaries over to his side, although it's actually a bit awkward because they're actively put off by the idea of being offered money, as the most valuable currency in their line of work is trust. So even the notion of switching sides for money is a massive red flag. So instead, Jing offered to make a deposit in the Norwell Fund, a foundation that provides relief and support to former soldiers through a 3-generational account system, a parent, child, and grandchild account. And look, Togashi goes into some pretty insane detail regarding all 3 of these accounts. It's one of those situations where he gets hyperfixated, like when he was briefly obsessed with the intricacies of how auctions work during York New City. But the important thing to know is that Jing had to open a child account to make his charitable deposit. However, owning a child account makes you subject to orders of a parent account, meaning that on the battlefield, Jing is now strictly under the command of Muhe, and has effectively now become a professional mercenary in addition to a pro hunter. And again, this shows just how far Jing is willing to go to win the trust of the team and take that second in command position away from Pariston, because the only way that Muhe's trust could be won was by Jing submitting to him. Yes sir, soldier man. And now, after winning over practically the entire team, Pariston has also relinquished control to Jing, now refusing to lead even though everyone's still following his orders. But Pariston's desire is to, quote, see what Jing can do. And so a month and a half and the GDP of a small nation later, Jing is now more or less in charge of his own Dark Continent expedition team, at least until Beyond Netero escapes Hunter Association custody and meets up with them. But that won't be for a while. And currently, our biggest mystery is where the expedition team actually are, because we haven't seen any of them aboard the Black Whale 1. Not these guys anyway. However, we have met Bill, who was hired by Beyond, and has said to Kurapika that there are several ways to get off the Black Whale, one of which requires the help of Pariston, implying that Pariston could be aboard the vessel. However, it's also very possible that the expedition team have their own method of stealthy transport in order to avoid the chaos and destruction of the succession contest. But far away from all of this, the biggest question of this arc, and indeed the series, remains unanswered, which is what's going on with Gon?